The Ben Johnson effect has been on full display early on this season for Caleb Williams and the Bears offense, and got a lot of data I want to dive into that helps explain that. We'll get to it here on Chicago Bears now. But before we get to all of that, guys, we're less than 100 subscribers from 131,000, 94 away to be exact. If you want free and daily content here on Chicago Bears Now, help us out. You could be the number 131,000th subscriber. Who's it going to be? Hit that sub button. I'm Harrison Graham. The Ben Johnson effect has been felt offensively already. You can tell that this offense is much more functional. We're going to talk about it all from a lot of different angles here on today's show. We're only 3 weeks in, so, data, where they rank in categories. It's kind of like a baseball player early in the season. He could start he's batting 205 through 7 games. Then if he has 2 or 3 good games, all of a sudden he's hitting 280. So things can fluctuate, but through 3 games, you're feeling pretty good about these numbers, right? You're 9th in scoring offense at over 25 points per game. You're 11th in passing offense at 234 a game. Even rushing, which you have not gotten a lot of consistent production and efficiency out of your running backs, you're still middle of the pack at 113 yards per game. Excellent on third down, over 46%, and then awesome in the red zone. You're scoring touchdowns once you get into the red 86% of the time, which is third best in the NFL. So in those key areas, third down, red zone, you're excelling so far, which is exactly what you want to see. You look just year over year, too. I mean, you're up big time across the board. You're up a touchdown per game in scoring. You're up 50 yards per game in the pass game, 52 to be exact. Even your rushing's up. Like I said, I don't think they're thrilled with their running game right now. I certainly am not, but even in that area, you're up. You're way up on third down. You're up in the red zone. That 62% red zone touchdown rate's actually not bad. I think that was top half last year, but you're way up on that even as well. Numbers aside, just eye test it, right? We can say what we want. There's context to everything. You're not being honest if you watch the first 3 games so far and compare it to last season and say, oh, I don't feel anything different. Like, the offense works. Like, guys are open. It looks smoother. Like, the route concepts, like the blocking, Caleb's comfort level, like, it just looks like a real NFL offense. Not saying they're revolutionizing the league, but compared to what we're used to, yeah, this looks like a real offense right now, which is very, very encouraging 3 weeks into the season. How about Caleb year over year? Weeks 1 through 3 last year, 70 of 118, which is less than 60%, compared to 59 and 93. So what is that, 25 less attempts, yet you have almost 100 more yards passing, so much more efficient, which is nice. 6 more touchdown passes, 3 less interceptions. Actually, 5 more touchdown passes. One of those 8 touchdowns is rushing this year. Last year, you had 2 passing, 0 rushing, and 4 picks in the first 3 weeks. QB rating, 42 points higher. He's even running more effectively this year. He's got 30 more rushing yards, just better across the board. And just like technical improvements that I have seen, we've talked about the deep ball accuracy a lot over the last couple of weeks. He's, top 10 in pretty much every category there. Accuracy, yards, PFF grade on 20-plus yard throws. That is a clear improvement. Now, it's 3 weeks. That data can, change as the year goes on. But so far, so good there. Just the calmness in the pocket, especially the last 2 weeks. Brian Flores, especially in that second half, he does that to a lot of quarterbacks. That's a tough first defensive coordinator to go up against. But against Detroit, against Dallas, very calm, trusting the protection, the footwork, the base has been good in there as well. To revisit the deep ball part of this, look at this chart here. Anytime you look at these charts that obviously circulate on Twitter, you want to be in the top right. That's like the best. EPA, catchable pass percentage rate, he's up there in the top right. He's like, 6th, 7th overall. When you combine those 2 stats, that's very good early on in the season. Again, he's 7 for 14 on deep ball throws, and 2 of them were dropped. So really, he's 9 for 14 on 20-plus yard air yard throws, which is very encouraging compared to completing 27% of those a year ago. What is your confidence level in the quarterback right now, in Caleb Williams? Scale it from 1 to 100. Give us a number in the comment section of this video. I'm at like an 80, 85. I mean, I feel pretty good. Every week is different. Dallas obviously is a bad defense, so that helps, but you still have to make the throw. I mean, there were guys last year at times that were wide open. I remember week 1 against Tennessee, Keenan Allen, wide open over the left sideline, overthrows him big time. Like, he's been sharper for the most part this year. How about where Caleb ranks in some other categories? EPA among quarterbacks, 11th. Pro Football Focus's 12th highest grade quarterback for starters. There's a few like Mitch Trubisky on like 5 snaps is ranked higher and stuff like that. But taking those guys out, Carson Wentz 1 start, got graded higher, but he's only played 1 game. So 12th among starters. 9th in QBR, which is scale of 0 to 100. It's at, I can't remember the number, but he's 9th in that. Passer rating at 107 is 6th in the NFL, and he's tied for 2nd in the NFL in touchdown passes so far. So, volume, efficiency, like he's checking a lot of these boxes early on in the season. How about on third down? Money down, right? 18 to 26, very accurate. 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. QB rating of 123, yards per attempt 9.2. That's pretty damn good, man. Like, these are all numbers that we're not used to, right? And again, the beauty of it is it hasn't been perfect. He has missed some throws. There have been some missed opportunities. So it's not like he's even maxing out some of the things that Ben Johnson is dialing up for him. Again, the Ben Johnson effect. He's creating big-time opportunities for Caleb in this offense to flourish and generate some big plays. How about another key area? Red zone. He's completed 8 of 11 of his passes, 4 total touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 rushing. I mean, I'll sign up for that. If he goes 8 for 11 the rest of the season in the red zone, I'm a pretty happy customer there. That's like 73%. So really, really good stuff from Caleb in this offense. Again, only 3 games in. And I view that as a positive, not as it could fall off. Sure, it could, but things are still learning, and it's been going up so far. It is only 3 games into a new offense, so there's reason to believe that it's only going to get better, not worse. Although there will be bumps in the road, as Ben Johnson has acknowledged. All right, today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day. Being right on PrizePicks can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I've been right a lot recently in my PrizePicks lineups. I'm up about $400 right now, guys. Feeling good, so I'll show you my lineup in a second. You may want to trail me there. Pick more or less on stat projections for 2 to 6 player lineups. Very simple how it works. If you get your lineup right, certain PrizePicks lineups can get you 2,000 times your money. PrizePicks also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. For week 4, PrizePicks is offering a max discount for Jalen Hurts passing yards. You just take more than half a passing yard. You can only use these max discounts once when they're offered, so choose wisely. I've used it in this 3-player lineup here. Ashton Genty, more than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. I like him to find the end zone this week, and then I love Rome Odunze, more than 61.5 receiving yards. That Raiders secondary has some issues, so I think Rome's going to have a big day. 3-player lineup there, an example of what a PrizePicks lineup looks like. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, passing concepts working. And what does that mean? The protection, the routes that make sense with good separation from the other receivers. That was a major issue with Shane Waldron last year. How many times would these film guys and just clips on Twitter, and you would see in why are 4 guys within a 10-yard radius? And just to kind of outline these concepts making sense and just doing different things. This was Rome Odunze's pass route chart from last year. Now, this is only when he was targeted, but what does this show you? Well, he only lined up on the right side, and he ran basically 2 different routes. He ran a couple corner routes and an out route, and he ran one where it was more of a skinny post. Okay, that was week 2 against the Texans last year. Week 2 this year against Detroit, that looks a lot different. They're lining him up out wide on both sides. They're lining him up in the slot on the right side of the hash. They're having him, run little drag wheels, outs, goes, deep crossers, sail routes. I mean, he's running 4 or 5 different routes there, which guess what he can do because he's a really good route technician, and they're getting him on the move. They're just doing a lot of different things. That's the Ben Johnson effect on display right there. It's also the Shane Waldron effect, but hey, that's last year. We're not worried about that anymore. That's the type of stuff you want to see. Like, get your best players to do different things. You don't have to pigeonhole a guy and say, and yeah, Ben Johnson has called Rome Badunze like a prototypical X. Guess what? He's lined him up in the slot a lot, and it's worked pretty darn well. He's put him in motion. Like, get this guy the ball a lot. It's just an example of what Ben Johnson brings to the table. How about this? Play action rate, right? And everybody says, the kind of lazy narrative is, well, it's hard to run play action when you don't run the ball. And look, I do still subscribe to the theory if you run the ball better, that only helps your play action. But the data for years now has shown, even if you're not running it effectively, play action is still effective. Well, it's been effective this year, and they've run a lot more of it. Just look at this so far. Last year, the Bears on play action only ran it 21.1% of the time. That was tied for 30th most in the NFL. So 1 out of 5 pass plays was play action. Too low. This year, it's almost up to 30%. You're up to 10th in the NFL in play action pass rate. And, a big question with Ben Johnson getting hired was, how would Caleb Williams handle under center play in general, but under center play action play? Because in college, he didn't do any of that. Last year, they did some of it, but they limited it. Clearly, they kept him in the shotgun for the most part. This year on play action, pretty good. And a lot of these are downfield shots. 15 to 25, 195 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, passer rating of 124. So that's been pretty effective so far. How about during snap motion rate? And what that means is when the snap is snapped to the quarterback, someone is on the move, a receiver or a tight end, maybe rarely a running back. We've seen them run a lot of motion, period, but a lot of this motion is at the snap as well. Last year, they were 19th, so not as low as you would think. Remember when Thomas Brown took over, he did a lot more motion, so that increased the rate a little bit. But this year even, they're still up 9 percentage points. They're up to 6th in the NFL. Motion is just an easy way to keep the defense off balance because, A, it's an indicator a lot of the time if the defense is running man or zone. If someone runs with the receiver, that's an indicator of man. Now, they could pivot out of it at the last second, and really good DCs will, like Brian Flores. And B, it's making the defender think more, right? Like, okay, this guy's going this way. What does it mean for my hotkey? If we're in zone, how do I communicate that in a split second? So it's tougher to defend. And it gets the receiver or the tight end kind of into a sprint start, right? Like, you're not starting stagnant. You got a guy on the move, so you get a guy like DJ or Rome or Zacchaeus who can really run. You get the right matchup. He can get a step on the defender. So these are all just things that sound easy, and you're like, why do more guys do it? But it does require a lot of detail, and that is something that Ben Johnson's offense is. It's very detailed. It's like, hey, I want you 2 yards to the right of the right hash mark if you're in the slot on this play. Not 1 yard, 2 yards. And all these little intricacies matter. Like a good example of the details mattering, that deep in route last week to Luther Burden, because that was at about 18 or 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. Well, DJ Moore had a little hitch route at about 10 yards. You could draw a line when Luther caught the ball with DJ in front of him. If Luther runs that at 16 instead of 18, one of those defenders might be able to get a hand on it. But since he runs it at the proper depth, it gives Caleb more room to layer that football, and the defender can't get a hand on it. So these details, they all matter. So it's not easy. You're not going to nail it every play, but you're seeing more and more consistency with it. And if you run it well, we know this offense works. We saw it work in Detroit for years, and now it's starting to click in Chicago as well. And listen, Caleb's being asked to do more than others. There's been some growing pains. Guess what we didn't see in week 3? Not a single pre-snap penalty. In the first week, that was a big problem. Less of a problem in week 2. No problem in week 3. They're getting out of the huddle quicker. He can make checks at the line of scrimmage, which he did a lot of last week. The confidence is growing, and Ben Johnson's coaching is working. Real quick shout out to the offensive line as well, and Ryan Poles gets some credit here also. But obviously Ben Johnson, I'd say he carried some weight on some of these guys they brought in. But again, top right quadrant. It's gotten better every week. I think there were some issues against Minnesota. In the second half against Detroit, Braxton Jones in particular started to get exposed a little bit. Listen, Dallas doesn't have a great defensive front, so it should have been better last week. But every week it's gotten a little bit better. The protection, the pockets for Caleb had been very, very good. And just imagine if this run game can get going. again, they are 15th in rushing yards per game, but Caleb's got almost 100 rushing, so they're not getting as much out of the running backs that they need to, only 3.4 yards per carry. But watch out. If they can just get that into the 4.2 range, you're probably not going to be elite just because you don't have elite runners. But if you could be average to above average with your running backs, like in Caleb and these receivers, this passing offense continues to expand and grow. I mean, this could be a top 10, top 8 offense in the NFL this year. Like that's not off the table at all with what we've seen so far. Will the Bears finish 2025 as a top 10 offense? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think the running backs are going to have to give you more just because I think it's asking a lot for Caleb to carry this thing every week. But if you get more out of the run game, the answer is it absolutely could be, which is rare territory as a Bears fan, obviously. All right, appreciate everybody who made it to the end of the video. That makes you a real one. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are here every day with content. And as always, bear down.